Imagine you are holding the absolute zenith of success in one hand. I mean, 30,000 screaming, adoring fans in the middle of Central Park just worshiping you.
Right.
And then on the other hand, you get a literal death sentence. Today, we are looking at a woman who decided to aggressively, meticulously choreograph her own demise in a Swiss clinic.
Completely on her own terms.
Exactly. Only to have her brain hijacked at the last possible second by the one thing she couldn't control, a baked good.
The irony is just staggering.
Babes, we love you and thank you for being here because honestly, babes, this show, this finale, it was amazing. It was actual psychological warfare.
It was a masterclass in emotional terrorism. I mean, we expected to sit down, hate watch a few moments, maybe critique some wardrobe choices, and instead I am emotionally pulverized.
Literally pulverized. And the Cosmopolitans are on deck tonight. We have full pictures ready.
Oh, they are essential at this point.
They really are. And babes, we are fully manifesting bad and bougie energy tonight, so cheers to us.
Cheers. And listen, we have to be clear about the Cosmopolitan because the psychology of this drink is fascinating.
Oh, completely.
The moment this aggressively pink tart liquid hits your system, it chemically alters your self-perception. Like you are no longer sitting in a messy living room.
No, absolutely not.
You are suddenly a powerful woman in entertainment holding court at a corner table in a dimly lit, violently expensive lounge.
It is instant, unfiltered cosmopolitan delusion. I take 2 sips, and suddenly I am just emotionally unavailable to everyone in my entire life.
You were giving me one-word answers earlier.
Because I was in character. I'm staring out windows. I'm fully sitting here in faded gray sweatpants that I have owned since, like, 2019. But in my mind, I am draped in archival Prada.
It's the delusion we need right now.
Why does a pink drink create that specific confidence immediately?
Because it's performance art in a glass. It requires a stem. It requires a very specific tilt of the wrist, you know?
Yeah.
It literally forces you to adopt the posture of a woman who just fired her 3rd assistant of the week.
Honestly, babes, we are not loving finale season right now. The cosmos are helping, but our Thursday spirals just aren't chaotic anymore.
It's barren out there.
All our shows are leaving us. We were in a state of absolute mourning. Hacks, obviously, which we are fully unpacking tonight. But also The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Which left a massive vacuum of petty drama in my soul, frankly.
Same. And Margot's got money problems. We are basically being abandoned by our fictional circles.
Abandoned is the exact word. It's a very real psychological phenomenon. I mean, you spend months, sometimes years, inviting these chaotic, deeply flawed people into your home every week.
You really do.
You learn their speech patterns, their traumas, their toxic coping mechanisms, and then a network executive just decides it's over.
And you're just left there.
You are left staring at your own reflection in a black TV screen at 11 p.m., just wondering what you're supposed to do with your evening.
I am emotionally grieving fictional people right now. My actual friends will text me, and I'm annoyed because I'm too busy worrying about Ava Daniels' career trajectory.
Which is much more important than whatever brunch plans they have.
Right. When a show ends, I feel like a friend group just quietly moved out of state and didn't give me their forwarding address.
I am trying to act fine, but I'm clearly not fine. I've started alphabetizing my skincare fridge just to feel a sense of control over my environment.
Wait, really? Alphabetizing?
Yes. The serums are next to the sheet masks by brand name. The emotional damage of running out of episodes is profound. You are suddenly forced to confront your own life.
Which is terrifying.
It is infinitely less scripted and has terrible lighting.
Terrible lighting.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is probably why we're fully entering our new hobby era. Because, babes, we need to fill our evenings with something other than staring into the void.
Desperately.
Let's discuss this, because we have tried to become entirely different people this month. We took a DJ class.
Oh, God.
We tried recreational basketball. We tried bird watching.
Let the record show that you forced me into the DJ class. You assumed we were going to become international house music sensations.
I really thought we had the vibe.
The reality is, DJing requires an understanding of math and rhythm that neither of us possesses. We were just mashing buttons and creating sonic anxiety.
I thought I was going to be the next Peggy Go, and instead I was just causing auditory distress for 15 strangers in a community center.
People were holding their ears. It was bad.
It was a chaotic era. And the rec basketball. I lasted maybe 4 minutes before a woman named Brenda boxed me out so aggressively I reconsidered my entire existence.
Brenda was not there to play. She was there to destroy.
She really was.
Yeah.
Which naturally led us to bird watching. because when physical exertion and musical talent fail, you just turn to staring at trees through expensive binoculars.
It's the hobby of the defeated.
But I became emotionally attached to a pigeon I named Gregory. He had a limp.
Gregory was a local street bird, not a rare species.
I loved him anyway. But trying hobbies as adults is so deeply humbling, you know? You are aggressively mediocre at things, and it forces you to realize you aren't a prodigy waiting to be discovered. You just suck.
Yeah, it's the illusion of personality development. We think, oh, if I buy a $300 tennis racket, I am now a tennis person.
Exactly.
Hobbies often just feel like fake self-improvement. You're just purchasing a new aesthetic to mask the fact that you still don't know how to do your own taxes.
I am ready for an emotionally healing hobby next week, though. Maybe pottery, like sitting at a wheel, centering the clay, maybe crying a little bit while making a lopsided bowl.
I want a hobby with unnecessary drama potential, like salsa dancing or archery, something where I could potentially start a feud with a rival archer.
Oh my God, a bow and arrow feud?
Right. Or maybe learning a new language badly just so I can eavesdrop on people and dramatically misunderstand them.
We should try candle making, but only if we can make them smell like our ex's apologies. Just completely hollow and full of smoke.
I would buy that candle.
Right. But babes, we have also been living for everyone's mess lately while we try to find ourselves. Thank you to the Snark Squad for sharing your chaos with us, because we desperately need it.
The submissions for Shady, Snarky, or Stupid this week are a testament to the moral decay of our listeners, and I am obsessed with every single one of you.
Okay, let's read the first one. This listener writes, I went on a first date with a guy who seemed perfect. Great job, great hair.
Always a trap.
The bill comes, and he immediately asked the waiter to split it. I smiled, paid my half, went to the bathroom, blocked his number, and climbed out the bathroom window so I wouldn't have to say goodbye.
Wow. Climbing out of a bathroom window over a split bill. Darling, that is deeply unhinged, but I respect the absolute commitment to the bit.
I am spiraling over the physical logistics of this. Did she ruin her outfit? Was she on the first floor? What if her purse got stuck?
Let's evaluate, though. Shady, snarky, or stupid?
It has to be snarky.
It's snarky bordering on shady. I mean, the reality of modern dating is that splitting the bill on a first date is a highly contested socioeconomic negotiation.
Yeah, people get so mad about it.
Some view it as egalitarian, but others view it as a total lack of investment. She clearly falls into the latter camp. But the Irish goodbye via the plumbing fixtures, that's pure theatrics.
Okay, submission number 2. My roommate asked me to help her move her massive velvet sofa down 3 flights of stairs. I panicked, got into my bed, pulled the covers up, and fake snored loudly when she knocked on my door.
Oh my God.
I lay there in silent terror for 3 hours until she hired TaskRabbits.
Stupid. That is undeniably stupid.
Why? I kind of get it.
Because now you have set a precedent in your own home where you are a hostage to your own lie. What if you had to pee? What if the TaskRabbits needed you to sign something?
Sure.
You literally trapped yourself in a bed prison of your own making over a piece of velvet furniture.
But the terror. Just lying there, sweating, pretending to be in a deep REM cycle while random men grunt in your hallway? I feel the anxiety in my chest just thinking about it.
It's self-inflicted torture.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the third submission?
This one is diabolical. I suspected my situationship was secretly back with his ex-girlfriend. Instead of confronting him, I went to his ex's Instagram and liked a photo of the two of them from 4 years ago at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday.
Oh, that is evil.
The chaos erupted the next morning. They are now fully broken up, and he still doesn't know it was me.
That is shady. That is tactical espionage right there.
My jaw is actually on the floor. Liking a 4-year-old photo at 2 a.m. is the digital equivalent of dropping a grenade into a room and locking the door from the outside.
You weaponize the algorithm to expose infidelity. It's flawless execution. 0 fingerprints left at the scene. A complete masterclass in passive-aggressive destruction.
I am terrified of our listeners. Stay away from my Instagram archives, all of you.
Seriously?
Okay, babes. Enough spiraling about our own mess, because we need to get into this Hacks finale immediately. We need to dissect exactly what the hell happened.
We must. The goal here is to pull apart the psychological scaffolding of Season 5, Episode 10. Come on, get happy.
Yes.
We are looking at the culmination of Deborah Vance and Ava Daniels, how this ending rips open the terrifying reality of the Hollywood machine and the specific mechanics of why art is sometimes the absolute only thing that keeps a human heart beating.
The scene is just set so perfectly. We're in Las Vegas. The lighting is bright. The mood is completely celebratory.
It's triumphant.
Deborah Vance just performed for 30,000 people in Central Park. She has clawed her way back to the absolute peak of the mountain. She is having lunch with Ava, and Ava is thriving. She just directed a flawless pilot.
Everyone is winning.
They are eating, they are laughing, the chemistry is perfect, and then Deborah just casually detonates a nuclear bomb right over the appetizers.
She reveals that the mass they removed earlier in the season, the one we were all led to believe was a minor inconvenience, has metastasized. It is terminal cancer.
My stomach dropped into my shoes. I was reading a piece on Primetimer about this, and they perfectly captured how shocking it was. And it's not just the diagnosis, right? It's Deborah's reaction to it.
The reaction is everything.
The doctors are telling her, we need to start aggressive chemotherapy today. And Deborah looks at that plan, looks at the pain, and flat out refuses.
Completely rejects it.
She says she's already done everything she wants to do. She maps out this fabulous final European vacation to Paris, and she tells Ava she has booked an appointment at an assisted suicide clinic in Zurich.
Let's dissect the psychology of this refusal because it is the absolute Rosetta Stone for Deborah Vance's entire character.
Oh, totally.
This is not merely a fear of physical discomfort. This is about the absolute hoarding of control. Over 5 seasons, we have watched this woman bend an incredibly hostile, patriarchal entertainment industry to her will.
She bends narratives.
She bends her employees. She bends reality itself to suit her needs.
She directs her own life like it's a multicam sitcom where she has final cut.
Exactly. And she intends to have final cut on her mortality. She tells Ava she refuses to waste away. She brings up Gino, her friend from her old sitcom who died of AIDS complications, and the trauma of watching someone lose agency over their own body.
Right.
She tells Ava she wants to call her own light, which is a stage manager's term for ending the show. She is directing her own fade to black so no one else gets the chance to pity her.
But isn't there a profound, almost staggering selfishness to that?
That's massive.
By rigidly controlling her exit just to maintain her own aesthetic dignity, she is actively robbing Ava of the chance to process her grief naturally. It's a brilliant directorial move for her legacy, but it is a terrible, violent interpersonal move for the person sitting across from her.
But selfishness has always been Deborah's primary survival tool, and Ava's reaction to this selfishness is a masterclass in frantic, desperate grief.
I feel so bad for her.
She cycles through denial, bargaining, and anger in the span of 30 seconds. She actually calls Jimmy, their agent, and demands he look into getting a Britney Spears-style conservatorship over Deborah to legally prevent her from flying to Switzerland.
Which is so unhinged. She literally wants to legally declare this brilliant, terrifying woman mentally unfit just to keep her physically alive.
It's hilarious because it perfectly grounds Ava's terror in her very specific, extremely online, pop culture-soaked reality. But let's look at the actual legal mechanics of what Ava is threatening.
Okay, let's get into it.
A conservatorship or a 5150 psychiatric hold requires proving that a person is gravely disabled or an immediate threat to themselves due to a severe mental health crisis. Deborah is none of those things.
No, she's perfectly sharp.
She is lucid, she is wealthy, and she's making a legally recognized medical choice in a specific jurisdiction. Ava's threat is legally inept, which just highlights how utterly powerless she feels in that moment.
She spends the entire night researching clinical trials, printing out massive stacks of medical jargon and presenting them to Deborah like a desperate lawyer.
And Deborah shuts it down with the most cynical, perfectly delivered line.
Oh my God, yes.
She looks at the experimental drug trials and says they only exist to find off-label benefits for men.
Like yeah.
It is the ultimate encapsulation of Deborah's worldview. She has spent 70 years fighting a medical and societal establishment built by and for men. Why on earth would she suddenly trust that system to handle her most vulnerable moments?
It makes total sense for her character. And I look at this dynamic playing out over the lunch table, and it is a massive architectural load-bearing shift in their relationship.
How so?
Well, think back to the end of season 2. Deborah was the pillar holding up Ava's career. By viciously firing her, Deborah basically demolished the roof to force Ava to become her own pillar. To go build her own structure.
She forced her to face the elements, yes.
But now, Deborah's structure is fundamentally collapsing from the inside out, and Ava is rushing in with steel beams, refusing to let the building fall. She is trying to retrofit Deborah's life with her own desperate strength. It feels like the power dynamic hasn't just shifted, it is completely inverted.
It has, and this inversion really explodes when they get to Paris. The underlying tension of this trip is suffocating. They are surrounded by extravagant, ultra-wealthy escapism, but they are operating on an entirely level playing field now. Ava isn't the chaotic writer fetching kombucha anymore.
Right.
She is a peer, a partner, actively negotiating for her collaborator's life.
Paris is just a visual feast of delusion. Ava is forced to drive a stick shift through these chaotic, terrifying Parisian roundabouts screaming, "Why am I in a rough draft of a car?"
The visual comedy is pristine, and it's a brilliant mechanical callback to the pilot episode.
Wait, how?
Think about it. In season 1, Ava's terrible driving nearly totals Deborah's vintage Rolls-Royce in the desert. Now in the finale, Ava is navigating the chaotic streets of a foreign country, literally trying to steer Deborah to safety. It's the writing staff flexing their structural muscle.
Wow, that is so smart. They're doing all these wildly rich person activities, but every scene has this heavy ticking clock underneath it.
The dread is palpable.
Deborah finally breaks her decades-long avoidance of carbs and eats actual French bread. And then they take a completely private, empty tour of the Louvre. Just the two of them echoing in these massive halls.
The Louvre sequence is the thematic anchor of the entire episode. They are walking past centuries of art, and they stop at a painting called The Happy Couple by Judith Leister.
Yeah.
Now, the mechanics of historical erasure here are vital. Deborah explains that for centuries, this painting was actually attributed to a man, Franz Hals. Leister, the actual female artist, allowed this erasure to happen.
Which is wild.
She leaned into it because she understood the mechanics of the art market. Her work would only be judged as genius if the critics believed a man held the brush.
That broke me. Ava looks at Deborah and asks if she ever wonders how her own comedy, her own legacy, would have been judged if she were born a man.
And Deborah's response is so grounded. She admits the thought is always there, but she still managed to build an empire while dragging the anchor of being labeled a quote-unquote female comedian her entire life.
They are having this profound debate about legacy, the burden of womanhood and historical erasure, all while Deborah is literally walking toward her own intentional physical erasure.
It's incredibly heavy.
It's so heavy. And then, abruptly, they go clubbing.
The tonal whiplash is spectacular.
Ava forces Deborah into this massive, oversized hockey jersey, and they are dancing in a sweaty club to George's song about Work the Dance Floor. It's manic joy.
Be your chaos.
But you look closely at Ava's face under the strobe lights, and you can see the grief violently fighting its way to the surface. She's watching Deborah look so vibrant, so alive, knowing she has a scheduled appointment to stop her heart in 48 hours.
But Ava refuses to be a passive witness. This is where her training kicks in. There is a brilliant scene in the Pulbert flea market.
Yes, the bridal box.
Exactly. Ava finds an antique bridal box she wants, but the dealer's price is outrageous. Ava is ready to walk away, but Deborah steps in and forces her to negotiate. Deborah coaches her, explaining the fundamental mechanics of a deal. She says, the opening offer is never final. You must counter.
And Ava locks that information away like a weapon. The very next morning, she turns that exact tactic back on Deborah. She corners her and begs her to try just one round of cancer treatment.
She weaponizes her own advice.
She uses Deborah's own logic, telling her that Switzerland's immediate death is an opening offer, and the opening offer doesn't have to be final.
It proves that Ava didn't just learn how to write a punchline from Deborah. She learned how to navigate power. She learned how to exploit a gap in the armor.
And speaking of armor dropping, we finally get the hand size callback. For 5 years, Deborah has ruthlessly mocked Ava for having massive masculine hands.
Endlessly.
And sitting at this cafe in Paris, Deborah takes off her elegant glove, holds her hand up flush against Ava's, and quietly admits that her hands are actually bigger.
It's the closest Deborah Vance will ever come to saying, I love you. It's the relinquishing of a petty dominance tactic to offer a moment of pure vulnerability.
I was literally crying into my cocktail. But all of this, the negotiations, the dancing, the hand measuring, it's all just the runway leading to the train station, the climax of the series.
The mechanics of this final scene are breathtaking. They are standing on the platform, the train to Zurich is pulling in, the death sentence is arriving.
Deborah decides to break her strict diet one last time. She walks over to a cart and orders a second croissant. And Ava, standing there drowning in pitch-black resignation, makes a dark, terrible joke.
A coping mechanism joke.
She says the best part about dying when you have an eating disorder is getting to have the second croissant.
Now, analyze the structure of what Ava just did. She provided a setup and a punchline. It's a solid, dark, deeply cynical joke. But it triggers something Pavlovian in Deborah.
Oh, completely.
This is a woman who has dedicated over half a century to the rhythm, the cadence, and the mathematical precision of comedy. She hears Ava's joke, and her brain involuntarily begins to workshop the premise.
The mechanics of her brain literally override her suicidal ideation. She stops chewing, stares into the middle distance, and realizes the punchline is flawed.
She can't help herself.
She looks at Ava and delivers the fix. She says, "No. The worst part about dying is that I can't even enjoy being bone thin."
That realization is a neurological hijack. The compulsion to perfect a joke is the one force on Earth more powerful than Deborah's need for control.
Wow.
She suddenly realizes that the entire process of dying, the indignity, the fear, the physical decay, is entirely unmined comedic territory. She has an entire hour of unwritten material sitting in front of her.
The spark of art literally restarts her will to live.
Huh?
She tells Ava, "I may not have 30 years, but I think I have another hour."
Yeah.
Babes, the chills that went down my spine. They abandon the train. The Swiss clinic is canceled. They grab each other and start volleying jokes back and forth, walking away from the tracks.
It is the perfect narrative loop. Go back to the pilot episode. Why did Deborah Vance, a woman who hated everyone, give a chaotic 25-year-old a job?
The driveway joke.
Because they workshopped a joke about a senator in a driveway. Deborah got furious that Ava's punchline was better, which forced Deborah to chase her down and pitch an even sharper angle.
The entire series begins and ends with the exact same mechanism. Two difficult women finding absolute unity and salvation in the pursuit of the perfect punchline. It is flawless.
However, while Deborah and Ava's storyline concludes with this sweeping romantic victory for the pure art of stand-up, the show concurrently delivers a vicious, cynical subplot back in Los Angeles regarding the actual business of art.
Oh, God, yes.
We need to transition to Jimmy and Kayla because while Deborah is trying to control her legacy, the corporate machine is actively stealing legacies.
The AI subplot. Babes, this stressed me out so badly. Let's set the scene. Jimmy and Kayla, our favorite chaotic agent duo, have been completely humiliated. Kayla's father, Michael, the CEO of the massive Latitude agency, has banished them to the mailroom.
It is a public execution of their careers.
But relegating them to the basement gives Jimmy access to the foundational plumbing of the agency. He is sorting through the mundane, daily detritus of corporate operations, and he discovers a series of highly redacted invoices.
And he pieces it all together.
He uncovers this massive, illicit revenue stream. Michael is quietly selling the AI likenesses and voice rights of deceased Latitude clients to tech conglomerates.
He is literally digitally grave robbing. He is taking the faces and voices of dead actors, licensing them out for commercials or algorithms, and pocketing millions of dollars in residuals without ever telling the client's grieving families.
We have to talk about the real-world context here.
Yeah.
Because the show is making a very pointed, aggressive statement about the 2023 Hollywood strikes, right?
Absolutely. During the SAG-AFTRA strikes, one of the most terrifying contractual clauses studios tried to push was the right to scan background actors.
Oh, it's so creepy.
They wanted to pay an actor for one day of work, scan their body and face into a 3D digital asset, and own that likeness in perpetuity, to use in any project forever, without consent or further compensation.
It is genuinely dystopian. You are replacing human artists with digital ghosts so executives can buy a third yacht.
Exactly. And Jimmy realizes that his boss is not just a bad manager, he is an existential threat to the concept of human art. So Jimmy and Kayla weaponize this information.
They go rogue.
They crash the ultra-exclusive Latitude corporate retreat in Ojai. They corner Michael right before he is supposed to give this pompous keynote speech, and they blackmail him.
Just ruthless.
They tell him to step down and hand over the entire agency, or they will leak the invoices to the press and the Department of Justice.
And Michael completely surrenders. He hands the keys to the kingdom to his daughter and Jimmy, which immediately leads to this incredibly revealing moment about modern corporate culture.
The all-hands meeting.
Jimmy stands up in front of the entire agency as the new co-head. He announces a radical shift. They are going back to being an artist-first agency. And as a symbol of cutting corporate bloat, he announces he is banning the lavish daily sugarfish lunches that the agents expense.
The mechanism of the sugarfish lunch is brilliant. Sugarfish is an aggressively expensive, trendy sushi chain in LA. It is the ultimate status symbol for junior agents.
Totally.
When Jimmy takes it away to fund actual artistic development, half the staff immediately walks out. They quit on the spot.
It is so cynical.
Right.
These people pretend to love art, but they care more about a free $60 box of sashimi than they do about protecting their clients from AI exploitation.
But Jimmy doesn't flinch. He delivers this impassioned, incredibly vulnerable speech to the agents who remain. He tells them the industry is shrinking, the algorithms are taking over. It is terrifying.
It made me emotional.
He says humanity will always fundamentally require storytelling to survive. And their only job, their only moral imperative, is to protect the storytellers from the machines.
It is a beautiful speech. It's the ultimate David and Goliath moment. Though, of course, the show undercuts the sincerity hilariously by having Randy, their former terrifying assistant, immediately seize the massive corner office while Jimmy and Kayla humbly take regular desks.
Randy is an apex predator. She will outlast the AI.
She truly will. But wait, I have to push back on this entire agency storyline. Does this not feel incredibly disconnected from reality?
In what sense?
Hacks is a show that thrives in the messy, compromising, gritty reality of showbiz. Real-world Hollywood executives do not step down because of blackmail. They hire a team of vicious lawyers, bury the evidence in NDAs, and fire the whistleblowers. Michael surrendering his empire just felt like a fairy tale to me. It felt too neat.
That is a completely valid critique,
Yeah.
and it is a structural flaw if you view the show as a strict documentary of Hollywood. But if you view it as psychological wish fulfillment, it functions perfectly.
I guess that's true.
The creators have openly admitted in interviews that the Jimmy storyline is a fantasy. It is an idealized projection of what they wish the industry looked like. After the trauma of the 2023 strikes, writers and actors needed to see a narrative where the people who actually care about the soul of art managed to slay the corporate dragon.
So it's basically an emotional palate cleanser. It's the showrunner saying, the real world is bleak, and we might lose to the algorithms, but for 20 minutes on HBO, the good guys are going to win.
Precisely. It is a necessary counterbalance to the heavy mortality themes happening in Paris.
Okay, I can accept the delusion when you frame it like that. Speaking of massive empires and wish fulfillment, we have to talk about Las Vegas. Because while Deborah is negotiating her death in Europe, her physical legacy back home is achieving absolute domination.
Las Vegas functions as the third main character of this series. It is the crucible where Deborah forged her resilience.
Marcus and Marty are back in Vegas, hosting the grand opening of the Diva. This is Deborah's brand new, opulent comedy club and casino, and the layers of irony and triumph here are so thick.
The branding alone is fascinating.
First of all, the name. The Diva was the title of Deborah's disastrous, failed sitcom pilot from season 2. The show that was supposed to make her a network star but ended up humiliating her.
By repurposing the name of her greatest public failure into a multi-million-dollar physical monument, she is forcefully rewriting her own historical narrative. She's taking the weapon that wounded her and turning it into a crown.
And she hires Marty to run the daily operations. Let's recall the mechanics of season 1. Marty is the casino magnate who spent the entire first season aggressively trying to push Deborah out of her residency because she was aging out of his key demographic.
He treated her like an expiring asset.
Now, 5 years later, she owns the building and he works for her.
It is total, undeniable subjugation of the man and the town that once viewed her as disposable.
The opening ceremony is pure Snark-side chaos, too. Mayor Joe is there to cut the ribbon, and she literally sniffs a major artery just gushing blood all over the red carpet.
It's horrific and hysterical.
But right before the bloodbath, they play a recorded video speech from Deborah. She talks about how the outside world, the critics in New York and LA, always called her too loud, too tacky, too much. But Las Vegas embraced her. Vegas allowed a difficult, loud woman to be exactly who she was without apologizing.
That speech is the thesis of Deborah's career. And the architectural parallels to Ava in this finale are vital.
What do you mean?
While Deborah has built the Diva as her physical fortress in Vegas, Ava is simultaneously shown building her own sanctuary in Los Angeles. We see Ava confidently show-running her own TV pilot, a reboot of Deborah's old sitcom, Who's Making Dinner.
She is walking through the soundstage, holding a clipboard, making decisive changes, completely commanding the room.
Exactly. For 5 years, their dynamic was defined by codependence. But the finale separates them to prove a point. Neither of them requires the other to survive anymore. They have both successfully erected their own empires.
Oh, I love that.
So when they choose to write jokes together at the train station at the end, it is not out of toxic need. It is a conscious choice between two autonomous peers.
That makes the ending so much more powerful. And we have to give a shout out to DJ. Deborah's daughter finally achieves her own twisted version of superstardom.
The QVC arc.
She achieves her lifelong dream of selling her bizarre custom jewelry on QVC. And the director gives us this beautiful visual cue. A digital rainbow graphic arcs across the screen behind DJ as she pitches her necklaces. It perfectly mirrors the rainbow backdrop from Deborah's legendary late-night debut decades earlier.
It visually communicates that DJ has finally achieved a level of commercial validation that parallels her mother's on her own terms. The generational trauma hasn't been cured, but it has reached a ceasefire.
The character arcs are tied up so beautifully,
Mm.
but the online reaction was chaotic.
Ugh.
Let's talk about the theories, because when the show swerved away from Deborah dying at the clinic, the internet had thoughts.
The relief was palpable. The subreddit was literally in shambles. People were predicting immediate Emmys for Jean Smart and Hannah Einbinder before the credits even rolled.
But there is a theory out there, the death dream theory from a review I read on Vulture that I'm fully spiraling about. A critic argued that the finale actually functions as an elegy.
An elegy for what?
They suggested that Hacks isn't just a story about a woman named Deborah Vance getting older. It is a metaphor for a bygone era of monoculture Hollywood fame actively dying out.
Let's examine the mechanics of that theory because it is incredibly persuasive. Look at the specific achievements Deborah fought for over the course of the series.
Yeah.
She wanted a massive, exclusive Vegas residency. She wanted to host a network late-night television show. She wanted a stand-up special at Madison Square Garden.
Right. And in 2026, those specific institutions barely hold any cultural weight.
Precisely. They are relics of a 20th century entertainment order. Today, monoculture is dead. A brilliant comedy special drops on a streaming platform, generates discourse for 36 hours on a localized algorithmic feed, and then vanishes into the digital ether. The massive shared cultural moments Deborah Vance represents are terminally ill.
Wait, are you saying the show is implying that traditional stardom itself has terminal cancer?
Yes. The creators purposely leave Deborah's ultimate physical fate ambiguous. She is going to get chemotherapy, and she has another hour to write, but we have no idea if she survives the year.
Oh my God.
Just as we have no idea if the traditional entertainment industry the artist Jimmy is trying to protect from AI will survive the decade, the entire ecosystem is on hospice care.
That is so profoundly depressing, but also gorgeous. It means that even if the war is already lost, the act of fighting, the act of writing one more perfect joke on a train platform is still sacred.
Connection is the only thing that survives the algorithm.
Okay, babes, we need to lighten the mood before I start crying into my cosmopolitan again. It is time for our finale segments. Segment number 1, most main character energy, who completely owned this finale and controlled the temperature of every scene.
I submit, Jimmy, to go from a mailroom pariah sorting through physical garbage to blackmailing a CEO and seizing control of a multinational talent agency. That is Machiavellian main character behavior.
It was a big swing.
Banning the sugarfish lunches was a pure power flex.
I respect the corporate coup, but the answer is Ava. The character growth is staggering. She went from being terrified of Deborah's shadow in season 1 to cornering her in a Parisian flea market and negotiating her cancer treatment like it was a syndication contract. That is protagonist energy.
Fair point. Segment 2, funniest emotional damage. Which moment made us laugh while actively hurting our feelings?
The worst part about dying is that I can't even enjoy being bone thin. I mean, it is the most devastating, brilliant punchline I have heard on television in years. It's hilarious, it's rooted deeply in the character's toxic body image issues, and it literally saves her life.
For me, it was Deborah dismissing the clinical trials because they only provide off-label benefits for men. The absolute exhausted cynicism of a woman who knows exactly how the medical industrial complex works. It's funny because it's a horrifyingly accurate statistical reality.
That it really is. Segment 3, things we would have absolutely said in real life.
Ava screaming, "Why am I in a rough draft of a car while aggressively shifting gears in Paris?" I have felt that exact specific rage in every European rental car I have ever operated.
For me, it's Ava trying to legally trap Deborah in a conservatorship to stop her from making bad choices. If my best friend told me she was doing something insane, I would absolutely threaten to file paperwork with the state to declare her incompetent. I am a deeply controlling friend.
You really are. Which brings us to the final segment, biggest finale breakdown. Who had the most chaotic emotional spiral, and was it justified?
It's Ava lying in bed, surrounded by clinical trial printouts, realizing that she cannot outnegotiate terminal illness.
Yeah.
Her breakdown at the cafe when Deborah measures her hand, the realization that all the ambition in the world cannot stop biology, it was completely justified and completely devastating.
I agree. Watching Ava realize that the immovable object she has anchored her entire adulthood to is suddenly fragile is a terrifying psychological pivot.
Babes, this finale gave us everything. It was a masterclass in full-circle storytelling. It showed us that while we cannot control the tragedies that come for us, we can control the punchlines we write about them.
It reminds us that whether you are fighting cancer, fighting corporate AI, or just fighting your own mediocrity in a rec basketball league,
Yeah.
you have to keep looking for the spark.
I just keep thinking about what happens next. Like, if Deborah gets treatment and steps back on stage, what does that final hour of comedy look like? Could she do a Tig Notaro-style "Hi, I have cancer" set?
Oh, that would be monumental.
Right. For 5 seasons, Deborah used comedy as a shield to hide her vulnerabilities. I wonder if her final masterpiece would be the moment she finally drops the shield entirely.
We can only hope.
So thank you to the Snark Squad for hanging out with us, drinking Cosmos in your sweatpants, and spiraling through this heavy, beautiful episode. We want to hear from you in the comments. Tell us, what unhinged hobby would you randomly try next week?
And which moment from the Hacks finale actually destroyed you emotionally?
Are cosmopolitans elite, or are we just delusional? And tell us if you've done anything shady, snarky, or stupid recently, because we need the drama.
Please remind them of the administrative duties.
Yes.
Yeah.
Babes, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Share the podcast with your messiest bestie. Rate us 5 stars so we can feel validated by the algorithm.
We need the digital dopamine.
We really do. Stay messy, stay delusional, and we will see you on the Snark side.